The conference room keycard was still warm when I swiped it. I shouldn't have had it, but my manager, Ethan, had tossed it to me like it was no big deal. Said he needed to step out, and could I just grab the weekly budget reports off the desk for him? I remember how the plastic warmed against my palm, like it had absorbed whatever stress sweat he left on it. And I remember the quiet snap the door made as it unlocked, that sharp office hush kind of sound, padded by the hum of a dying ceiling light. What I wasn't ready for was what I saw on the table and what it turned into. I've worked for Arcadia Tech Solutions for 6 years. Not some cool startup. It's one of those mid-size IT support contractors that exist in glass buildings next to dentist offices. The kind of place that has a kombucha tap and a passive-aggressive sign telling people to stop refilling water bottles in the bathroom sink. I'm a systems analyst, or, as my dad calls it, you fix printers and click boxes for a living. I don't fix printers, but it's not far off. Most of my job is data validation, chasing contracts, writing integration reports that nobody reads, and watching my manager, Ethan, duck out of the office at weird hours and come back acting like nothing happened. Ethan was one of those guys who made you feel like you were always 5 minutes late to a conversation. Fast talker. Always standing at a 45-degree angle like he was about to bolt to another meeting. But he liked me, or at least trusted me enough to dump extra work on me while he handled client-side concerns, which usually meant being on mute during Zoom calls and sending me Slack messages like, "Need you to take care of that thing." Which thing? The one from earlier. I had gotten used to that level of vague. What I wasn't used to was the brown envelope on the table. The one with my name on it, full legal name, written in thick blue ink like someone wanted to make sure I couldn't pretend it wasn't mine. Inside were 3 things: a flash drive, a list of client routing numbers with some scribbled initials, and a sticky note with one line in Ethan's handwriting. "We need to talk. You're in this now." I didn't know what the hell this was, but it burned like acid in the pit of my stomach. The conversation didn't happen that day. Ethan never came back from his step out. Instead, he called me that night at 10:41 p.m. I remember the time because I was mid-episode into an old Anthony Bourdain rerun and had just microwaved leftover biryani. I didn't even say hello. Just held the phone and let it buzz once more before clicking accept. "Hey man," he said, like we were about to talk fantasy football. "What is this?" I asked. No intro, just straight into it. He went quiet. Then, "Okay, so you saw the stuff?" "Yeah, the flash drive, the numbers, my name on a goddamn envelope." A pause, then, "All right, listen. I didn't want to do it like this, but I needed to know I could trust you." "Trust me for what?" There was a shuffle, like he'd leaned back in a chair or moved away from someone. "I need you to be cool about something. It's technically illegal, but no one gets hurt, and if you keep your head down, you'll be taken care of." I stared at the pause screen on my laptop. Bourdain frozen mid-sentence, fork in hand. He kept talking. "You're already in. The email chain has your name. You've CC'd the invoices. You've pinged the vendors. I cleaned it up as much as I could. But if it all goes sideways, they'll come knocking on your door too." I didn't respond. "Just stay cool," he said again, like that phrase was a warm blanket he could throw over the fire. "We'll ride it out." That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, everything's felt like a dream I keep trying to wake up from. Ethan's been acting like nothing's wrong, making jokes in the break room, slapping backs in the hallway, putting his hand on my shoulder and saying, "You're a rock star, man." I'm not a rock star. I'm a guy who opens Excel and stares at numbers until they make sense. Except lately, some of those numbers don't. I started going back through old vendor reports just to see how deep this went. There's a pattern. Same 4 contractors, same payment amounts, different fake project names, stuff like client systems tuning or infrastructure parallelization, words that sound impressive but don't mean anything. And then there's the wire transfers, amounts just under the reporting threshold, sent through a third-party platform Arcadia technically doesn't use, but the accounts they're being sent to, one of them is registered under a name I recognize, Ethan's brother. And the other one, that one was under my name. I confronted him yesterday, or at least I tried. "Hey, Ethan, got a sec?" I caught him by the coffee machine. He was halfway through stirring oat milk into his espresso. "What's up, champ?" I lowered my voice. "We need to talk. About the reports." He paused, just long enough for the silence to stretch. Then he smiled, fake as the framed motivational quotes above the printer. "Don't worry about the reports. I already scrubbed them. You're good." I didn't say I was worried. His eyes flicked up, just for a second, a glitch in his smooth act. Then the smile returned. "Be cool, man. Seriously. Don't start poking holes in a boat you're riding in." He clapped me on the back and walked away, still holding his coffee like it was a trophy. So now I'm sitting in my car, parked under the flickering lot light out back, staring at the flash drive again. I haven't plugged it into anything yet. Don't want the IP traced to my work laptop. Don't want my personal Mac flagged either. I called a friend, Mike, who used to work in compliance at a different firm. I didn't give names, just described the situation. He told me flat out, if your name's on accounts you didn't open, you need a paper trail now. Otherwise, you're going to eat that charge if it goes bad. He also said something else. Whatever he told you about nobody getting hurt, that's bull. Somebody always gets hurt. You just don't know them yet. The last thing Ethan said to me today was this: "Let me know if you want in, like really in. The next few weeks could be big, but once you're on this side, there's no going back." I haven't answered yet, but tomorrow's Monday. And the flash drive is still sitting in my cup holder. Halfway through peeling the label off my water bottle, I heard Ethan's voice behind me. "Morning, partner." I didn't turn around right away, just kept picking at the plastic until the strip tore jagged and useless in my fingers. There's something about pointless actions that helps when your brain is spinning fast and quiet like a bad fan. He came up next to me like we were friends. Same fake smile energy, same over-shoulder chuckle, like he was letting me in on a harmless secret. "You give any thought to what we talked about?" Like he hadn't threatened me by smiling through it. I didn't answer. Not in the way he wanted, anyway. Sunday night, I stayed up until 2:30. I waited until my wife, Lena, was asleep, then dug through an old box of computer junk in the closet and found an old Chromebook I'd bought used in college. It still booted up. Barely. I wiped it, set up a fresh OS from a USB drive, and plugged in Ethan's flash stick in the kitchen, where the router sits like a sleepy, blinking ghost behind the toaster. I never expected what I saw. Not just reports, not just wire logs. There were videos, clips of Ethan meeting with someone I didn't recognize, guy in a navy jacket with a facial twitch and a loud laugh that didn't fit his face. They were in a parking garage, timestamped 2 weeks ago. You could hear them. Split the invoice again. Mark it under consulting this time. I've got a guy who'll run it through clean. Same rate? Unless you want to keep the bonuses from last time, up to you. There were also screen recordings. Ethan had screen captured himself editing timesheets and access logs, showing how he altered database entries to make fake accounts look like real contractor aliases. It was meticulous, like he'd done this before. But here's what chilled me. One of the clip folders was labeled fail-safes. Inside were copies of emails, not just between him and vendors, but ones from me. Innocent ones, confirming project hours, sending signed-off forms, regular work stuff. But paired with his altered documents, they looked bad. He was building a shield, one that looked a hell of a lot like me. At work, I started documenting, carefully, quietly. I brought in a new USB drive, wiped clean, and began collecting anything I could find that linked his activities to the fake contractors. Payment approvals, Slack messages, time discrepancies, invoice templates. I didn't forward them anywhere. Not yet, but I saved them. Twice a day, I emailed the folder to a dummy Gmail I created under an old gaming alias, then deleted all local traces. But it wasn't just digital. I started noticing the way people acted around Ethan, like they knew. Alex from finance stopped making eye contact. Kim in HR started giving me tight smiles and quick nods like I was contagious. Even Bobby, the night janitor who always chatted with me about his daughter's soccer games, started cleaning around me instead of near me. Somebody had talked, or suspected, or both, and I was caught in the weird purgatory of not knowing whether I was the snitch, the scapegoat, or the next guy on a list. Tuesday, things escalated. Around 3 p.m., Ethan scheduled a last-minute touch base in one of the second-floor huddle rooms, the ones with bad soundproofing and even worse lighting. He was already seated when I walked in. No smile this time, just that flat manager expression, like a disappointed teacher trying not to yell. He nodded at the door. "Close it." I did. "Sit." I sat. Then he pulled out a sheet of paper and slid it toward me. "You're being considered for a role change. Cross-functional strategy liaison. Nice title. Comes with a bump." He didn't wait for a response. "But to get there, I need to know we're aligned. Fully." I looked at the paper. It was a draft offer. Legit looking, HR header, position code, salary band, 10% over my current. I didn't reach for it. Instead, I said, "What if I'm not?" Ethan leaned back. "Not what?" "Not aligned." He smiled, slow and wide, like he was happy I said it out loud. "Then I'd be disappointed, and I'd have to assume you're planning to make trouble, which would be unfortunate, because I'd also have to show someone else how aligned you've already been, with files, with signatures. You forged—" "Nope," he cut me off. "I didn't forge anything. I used what you gave me. That's the beautiful part." My stomach turned. He tapped the desk. "I'm not asking you to do anything sketchy. Just keep doing your job. Don't dig. Don't stir. Be cool." That phrase again, like it meant something stable, safe, but I felt anything but safe. That night I didn't go home. I told Lena I was staying late, had some server outages to monitor. Instead, I parked 3 blocks away from the office, locked my phone in the glove box, and walked to a place called Grayson and Cobb, LLP. I found them through Mike, my friend in compliance. They're white-collar defense attorneys. Serious ones. I didn't give my real name at first. Just described the situation, vaguely. But when I showed them the flash drive, the attorney, Ms. Cobb herself, put down her pen and looked at me like I'd stepped into the wrong movie. "You're either the whistleblower or the fall guy," she said, "and you're on the clock to choose." She gave me her card, told me not to email her from my work account, told me not to plug that drive into any corporate machines again, told me if I got a call from legal, don't answer alone. She also said something else. "If he thinks you're waffling, he might move early. Watch your access logs. If you get locked out of anything, that's the start." I drove home with my heart in my throat. Today, Wednesday, I got locked out of Jira. Not my whole account. Just the one board related to contractor procurement. I filed a ticket. The tech guy came by and shrugged. "Looks like Ethan pulled access. Says it's being restructured." He said it like it was nothing, like it didn't feel like a steel trap closing around my ankles. I went to the kitchen to clear my head. That's when Ethan found me and said those same 4 words. "Morning, partner. All good?" I smiled back and lied. "Yeah, all good." But I already knew I had to act. Not tomorrow, not after I collect more, not once I'm ready, because if I waited, I wouldn't have the chance. It was 6:28 Thursday morning when my work phone lit up with a calendar invite from Ethan. Coffee sink sama, just us, 7:00 a.m., rusty mug. No subject line, no body text, just that neutral little gray box like a handshake with no grip. I stared at it from my side of the bed while Lena still breathed softly next to me. Outside, the city hadn't even started humming yet. No car horns, no garbage trucks, no kids yelling in the hallway. Just the buzz of the AC vent and the faint crackling of silence before people start pretending everything's normal again. I didn't accept the invite, but I showed up anyway. The rusty mug wasn't a cafe so much as a repurposed storage unit that someone crammed with Edison bulbs and reclaimed wood. It sat between a payday loan place and a dry cleaner that never opened on time. Most days it smelled like burnt syrup and dishwasher steam. I got there at 6:57. Ethan was already seated at the corner booth, facing the door like he was waiting for a hostage exchange. 2 coffees on the table, no food. One of them was already stirred. I assumed it was mine. "Glad you came," he said, nodding at the cup. I didn't touch it. "Why here?" "Neutral ground," he said, "and they don't record audio." I blinked. "What?" He smiled like he was joking. I don't think he was. He didn't waste time. "Look, I know this week's been weird, but," he said, leaning forward like a coach trying to sell a pep talk before a losing game. "But I wanted to be face to face before we take this next step. I didn't say I was taking anything." "You didn't say you weren't." He took a sip from his own cup, then set it down precisely. Like everything in his life was choreographed except his lies. Then he said the thing that made my chest go cold. "I know about the lawyer." My stomach clenched. "Excuse me?" He gave a small shrug. "You think I don't monitor outgoing DNS pings from company Wi-Fi? That Chromebook of yours hit some interesting domains. Grayson and Cobb, right?" I stayed still. "You didn't connect on-site, but metadata's metadata. That's a rookie move, man." I didn't respond, just felt the knot behind my eyes tighten like a pressure valve. He smiled like he'd already won. "Look, I get it. You got scared. It's normal. But now we're here, and you've got 2 choices." He laid down a folded sheet of paper between us. "Letter of promotion. I already got initial approval from HR." I didn't touch it. "And if I don't sign?" "Then we start talking about what you did sign. You know, all those processed invoices, the time-stamped approvals. Don't make me protect myself at your expense. That's not the story I want to tell." My voice came out quieter than I meant it to. "But it's the one you already wrote." He tilted his head like he was disappointed I caught on. "You think anyone's going to dig deep enough to untangle it? You think they'll risk the contracts over one analyst and a maybe paper trail?" He pushed the paper closer. "Or you take the win, new title, bonus window next quarter, and we both keep our mouths shut and our pockets open." I left the paper on the table, didn't say goodbye, didn't finish the coffee, just walked out into the early morning haze and sat in my car with the door open until my breath evened out. I didn't go to the office that day. I drove to my parents' old house on the east side, the one they rent out now. I still have a spare key from when I used to crash there in college. I needed a place with no digital footprint. There, I opened my laptop, tethered through my phone, and uploaded every file I had to a private Proton Mail address I'd created for this purpose only. Then I typed one sentence and saved it as a draft. Not sent, just sitting. If anything happens to me, here's what Ethan Reed has been doing at Arcadia Tech Solutions. Attached, the full archive. Then I made 2 more copies. One on a physical thumb drive I hid in the glove box of Lena's car, and another on a portable SSD buried under the kitchen sink, behind the fire extinguisher. If Ethan wanted insurance, I wanted armor. That night, Lena finally asked. She caught me staring into the middle distance while we ate dinner, a reheated casserole she made Sunday. "You've been quiet." I nodded, still chewing. Swallowed. Didn't lie. "It's work. Complicated." She set her fork down gently. "Are you ins? Trouble?" I met her eyes. "Not yet, but someone wants me to be." She didn't press, just reached over and squeezed my hand. "Then let's make sure they don't get what they want." Friday morning, I walked into the office like it was any other day. I didn't stop for coffee, didn't chit-chat in the elevator, just went straight to my desk and opened the same 3 spreadsheets I always do. Pretended to click, pretended to scroll, waited. At 10:17, I got the calendar invite. Leadership Q&A, Conf Room C, 10:30 a.m. Attendees, Ethan Reed, Derek Faulkner, HR, me. I closed my laptop and walked straight to it. Inside the room, Ethan was already seated, arms crossed, expression bland. Derek, our HR director, soft-spoken guy with round glasses and a compulsive throat-clearing habit, looked visibly uncomfortable. "Thanks for coming," Derek said as I sat. Ethan stayed silent. "We wanted to talk about some discrepancies in recent workflows." Ethan's raised concerns about boundaries being crossed, data being accessed without permission. I blinked. "You mean the boards I had access to for 3 years until this week?" Derek cleared his throat. "Well, it seems certain reports were pulled and archived outside of standard procedures. We just want to understand your intent." Ethan spoke up then. "Nobody's accusing you of anything. Yet. We're just trying to make sure we're not exposed to risk." That word, exposed, tasted like rust in my mouth. I looked Derek in the eye. "Would you like me to provide a detailed list of contractor accounts that have been created under false project codes, billed through aliases, and wired to family-linked shell accounts?" His face changed. I continued. "Because I can, right now, with timestamps, signatures, routing logs, and a video." Ethan shifted in his seat. "That's enough." "No," I said. "It's not." I turned to Derek. "I've retained counsel. You're going to get a letter today. I suggest legal reviews everything. Because if anything happens to me, termination, retaliation, access revoked, that letter goes public. I'm not bluffing." Derek said nothing for a full 10 seconds, then nodded slowly. "Understood." I stood. Ethan didn't look at me, but he didn't smile either, which was the first honest thing I'd seen on his face all week. The badge reel clipped to my belt wasn't heavy, but it dragged all day. It was a symbol, really, a dangling reminder that I still had access, for now. Every time it clicked against my waistband as I walked, it whispered, "You still work here. You still play the game." But the game had changed, and I wasn't playing anymore. After the meeting with Derek and Ethan, things at Arcadia didn't explode, not visibly. They just got quiet. Too quiet. People still said good morning, but it was flatter, like everyone was pretending they didn't smell the smoke in the air. The office suddenly felt smaller, like the walls knew something and were waiting for someone to flinch. My access wasn't revoked, but my projects were reassigned. All of them. I got a polite email from one of the junior PMs. "Hey, just looping you out while we sort bandwidth. Appreciate your help so far." That's corporate speak for, "You're radioactive now." Meanwhile, Cobb, the lawyer, moved fast. By Monday, she'd already reached out to Arcadia's legal team with a formal notification of representation. She requested a freeze on all employment decisions related to me, pending review of internal financial anomalies and potential whistleblower retaliation. She also dropped a phrase that made HR very nervous: Sarbanes-Oxley implications. Turns out, Arcadia's parent company is publicly traded, which means if anything I uncovered falls under willful misreporting, They're not just facing internal headaches. They're facing federal ones. Tuesday morning, Ethan was gone. No warning. No all-staff email. Just gone. His office was locked. Nameplate removed. A cart of personal items sitting by reception. A fake bonsai. A stack of untouched lean-in management books, and that obnoxious ceramic mug that said boss-level God mode. By noon, the rumors were flying. He took a leave. No, he resigned. Wait, I heard he got marched out. Who's going to run ops now? Wait, does this mean the bonuses are safe? No one said anything to me directly, but I got looks. Some confused, some grateful, some like they didn't know whether to high-five me or avoid eye contact. That afternoon, I got pulled into another meeting, this time with Derek and a woman named Helena from legal. She looked like she didn't have time for nonsense. Mr. Reed has voluntarily stepped down pending investigation, she said. We're reviewing all material provided by your counsel. In the meantime, you are not to discuss any of this with your coworkers. I nodded. Additionally, we'd like you to sit for a formal statement next week, on the record, with our audit team present. I nodded again. She softened a little. You did the right thing. But this next part matters even more. Are you prepared for that? I said I was. I wasn't sure. Because doing the right thing doesn't come with a parade. It comes with insomnia. It comes with second-guessing everything you've ever signed, every CC line you've ever been on, every vendor call you took while half listening. It comes with Lena asking if you're okay, and you saying, yeah, just tired, even though what you mean is, I don't know if I'll have a job by Friday. It comes with watching your back. Not because you think someone's going to hurt you, but because you know they could, legally, financially, reputationally, and you wouldn't even see it coming. Thursday, I got an email from someone I didn't expect. Kim from HR. The subject line, lunch? She'd always been quiet. One of those HR people who does her job well without ever getting drawn into office gossip or drama. I hadn't spoken to her directly since the fallout started, but at 12:15 we sat down outside the building at one of those wobbly steel tables, plastic clamshell containers between us. I'm not officially supposed to say anything, she started, but I want you to know. People saw what happened. You're not alone. I just listened. There's more, she added. You're not the only one he tried to use. That got my attention. 3 other employees came forward after your legal notice hit. One from procurement, one from accounting, and one from off-site QA. All said the same thing. He looped them in slowly, hinted at bonuses, promised promotions, made them complicit just enough. Why didn't they say anything earlier? They didn't think anyone would believe them until you pushed first. That night, Lena and I sat on the couch with the lights off and the TV muted. I told her everything, every detail I'd left out, every email, every meeting, every lie Ethan had told me. And then I told her something I hadn't admitted out loud. If he hadn't pushed it, if he hadn't made it so obvious, I might have kept my head down. I might have looked the other way. She didn't respond for a while. Then she said, "But you didn't. That's what counts." Friday morning, a calendar update hit my inbox. Compensation adjustment meeting, 2:00 p.m., HR conference room. I walked in expecting a severance talk. What I got instead was something else. Derek and Helena were there. So was someone new, a VP I'd only ever seen in org charts. They offered me a temporary promotion, special project liaison to the audit committee. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't long-term, but it came with clearance, a pay bump, and most importantly, control over the next steps. They asked if I'd be willing to help reconstruct what happened, not as a target, not as a suspect, as a witness. I said yes. As I left the room, I passed by Ethan's old office. The door was open now, empty inside. No chair, no bonsai, no throne for the king of cool. Just dust outlines on the carpet where the furniture had been. I kept walking. The badge reel clipped to my belt swung gently with each step. Still light, but now it felt like armor. I still check over my shoulder in parking garages. Not because I think Ethan's coming back, but because I've learned that doing the right thing doesn't end when the meeting does. It's not cinematic. It's paper cuts. It's quiet questions that don't get answered. It's emails with subject lines like, just checking in. And it's knowing that every reply might be used by someone, somewhere, to rewrite the story. It's been 3 months since Ethan left Arcadia. His name hasn't been spoken out loud by anyone in leadership, not once. Internally, the company calls it a governance review. Externally, I've heard rumors he's on leave or exploring new ventures. No one's using the word fired. But I know what happened because I helped prove it. Because I sat in every single one of those follow-up interviews with legal, with compliance, with the third-party auditors they flew in from Chicago. People who don't smile. People who measure answers with facial twitches and milliseconds of hesitation. I walk them through everything. The flash drive, the wire transfers, the folder labeled fail-safes. I showed them the pattern in the invoice aliases, how the contractor names were one-letter permutations of real vendors, how the amounts were split under reporting thresholds, how Ethan exploited the gray space between trusted approval and actual verification. They asked about my involvement. I was honest. I clicked buttons. I forwarded docs. I didn't ask questions. Then I added, until I did. Turns out, that was the key. I didn't try to be a hero. I didn't frame him. I just refused to look away. And in the world of corporate rot, that's more radical than you'd think. A month after the audit wrapped, Arcadia's general counsel requested one final statement, this time for the board. It wasn't a formal deposition. It was me, sitting in a conference room on the 21st floor, talking into a microphone, while a woman in a blazer with no wrinkles asked, "Looking back, would you have done anything differently?" I paused. "Yeah," I said. "I wouldn't have waited so long to speak up. I was trying to protect my job. I didn't realize I was also protecting his crime." She nodded. No smile. No judgment. Just a pen scribbling down the truth. They offered me a permanent role after that. Director of Internal Systems Integrity. It came with a title bump, a new laptop, and an office that used to be Ethan's, though I asked for a different one. I didn't want his ghost in the walls. I didn't want his smell in the upholstery. I wanted something I could build clean. But it's not all tidy. There are still rumors. Still people who wonder if I only came forward after things got hot. If maybe I was in deeper than I let on. If maybe, just maybe, I flipped not for the truth, but for the promotion. You can't fix that. You can only keep showing up. Keep doing the work. Keep letting your actions say what your resume never will. Lena gets it. She's the only reason I kept my head on straight through all of this. Every time I doubted myself, she reminded me that the cost of silence wasn't peace. It was corrosion. The last I heard, Ethan was trying to start a consulting group out west. He's still using the phrase compliance efficiency in his pitch decks. I doubt the clients know the whole story. I doubt they ever will. But that's not my job anymore. Mine is here. Watching the gears, listening for squeaks, training new hires to spot red flags, not reward them. And every so often, I walk past the vendor boards where his fake accounts used to live. They've all been scrubbed now. But I leave one sticky note in the center drawer of my new desk. It says, "Be cool," he said. Cool doesn't mean quiet. It means conscious. And when new analysts ask me why I keep a blank flash drive in the cup holder of my desk, I tell them the truth. So I never forget how easy it is to ignore something until you can't. And that's the story. If this story moved you, Subscribe for more real-life confessions and emotional journeys like this one.